This is a work of fiction and all the other stuff. Legal writing. Welcome to Neighbor. For those unaware, this is a horror visual novel that was released in Japan. I actually don't know the date on that, but it was recently translated and released to the US on September 29th, which is actually the day I'm aiming to upload this. So, this is one of those things I was kind of looking forward to. I don't know if it's going to reach the levels of the letter or if it even has as much interactivity, but we're going to jump in and see exactly what happens. So I don't think there's anything in the menu here that we need to worry about, because I don't think there's any voice acting. Oh, maybe there is. There is. Okay, that's neat. How do I leave this, though? There we go. So, let's begin. It was a perfectly ordinary apartment. 2 bedrooms for just under 80,000 yen a month. So that comes out to be about 800 bucks, in case you're wondering. Personally, I felt it was a little pricey for a unit in a relatively suburban neighborhood, but I let it go after a while. Can't have everything, I thought. It was in a good location with plenty of stores in the area. The building itself was under a decade old, and both the interior and exterior were maintained quite well. The perfect home office for a 30-something single woman, I'd say. Once the movers left, I spent the next few hours unpacking, and by the time I was done, the sun had nearly set. The view from the balcony was little more than a vacant lot, so I decided the curtains could wait until tomorrow. What's another day, right? My utilities were already set up, so I decided I'd swing by and introduce myself to my new neighbors before grabbing a slightly early dinner. My apartment number 201 was located in a 4-story building. There were 2 sets of stairs, one right outside my apartment and one at the opposite end of the hall next to apartment 206. There was a parking lot for residents out front, as well as a separate building where the aging landlady lived. According to her, this land used to be a rice field until they paved it over to build a complex. She even showed me the old electric cultivator gathering dust out behind her house. As far as retirement income, though, I could easily see why she'd made the switch. Given the small size of the complex, proper social etiquette likely dictated that I ought to go and greet every single resident, but that was a bit old-fashioned for my tastes. Instead, I decided I'd limit myself to the neighbors directly sharing walls, and ceiling and floor, with me, as well as the landlady herself. I grabbed their gifts and walked out. My last apartment was right in the middle of downtown, and I never even saw my neighbors when I lived there. No need to go all out, I figured. I stepped outside and was immediately greeted by the last lingering rays of the setting sun stretching out over my path. Using my brand new key, I carefully locked the door, then walked over to apartment 202. I pressed the button on the intercom and heard a faint ringing sound from inside. A gentle breeze pushed past as I waited for a response, but the silence lingered. Maybe they're not home right now, I thought. Just in case they didn't hear, I gave the button one more push. Again, I heard a faint ringing sound from the other side of the metal door. Then it stopped. I waited. No response. Evidently, no one was around. I considered simply leaving their gift hanging from the doorknob, but ultimately decided against it. Wouldn't want to risk freaking them out with an unwanted present from a mysterious sender. Instead, I turned and made for the stairs, but before I could take another step, I heard a soft sound behind me. It sounded like intercom static. Maybe my neighbor had finally picked up. I turned back and stood in front of the intercom camera.
隣の201号室に越してきた結城と申しますが、ご挨拶に来ました。
Couldn't hurt to introduce myself. After a brief blip of static, I heard them hang up. But no one came to the door. Unsure what to do, I paused there for a moment. Then the doorknob turned. Apparently they were home after all. Well, a reply would have been nice, sheesh, thought to myself. But just as I got their gift ready... the doorknob suddenly began to jerk in all directions, where moments before it had been perfectly still. Instantly a chill shot down my spine. Holding the gift, I took off running to the stairs. Behind me, the creak of the opening door grated on my eardrums. As I rounded the corner, I caught one final glimpse of the door, to 202, and sent goosebumps pricking up my arms. There was a ghostly pale hand reaching out from the door, but it retracted a split second later, immediately followed by the low clunk of the door shutting once more.
今のは
I collapsed onto the stairs, my legs quaking. For a moment, I debated heading up to the third floor, but after a moment of thought, I carefully crawled my way back down the hall. Slowly, I peered around the corner at the door to my apartment, 202. Slowly, I peered around the corner at the door to apartment 202. It was firmly closed. It was then that I realized I had probably just made a colossal ass of myself. Still, I had absolutely no intention of going back and giving it another shot. Apartment 301 was occupied by a male resident. As perhaps expected of a single bachelor, the young man appeared at the door in scruffy attire. Regardless, I was relieved to meet a normal person for once. He looked to be a bit younger than I was. He scratched his head and blinked sleepily at me.
下の201に引っ越してきた結城と言います。すみません、寝ているところを。
Being a freelancer myself, I was in no position to judge him for keeping a weird sleep schedule. He didn't look too thrilled about being awake, and I felt guilty for disturbing him.
ああ、いえ、すみません。論文の締め切り前でちょっと仮眠を取ってたもんですから。
大学生ですか？
いえ、陰性です。
He went on to explain that his graduate school was part of a hard science-focused university located in the suburbs about a 30-minute drive away. At first impression, he seemed nice, though perhaps uninterested in maintaining his appearance, if his black-rimmed glasses and sweatpants were any indication. Then again, presentability isn't exactly the point of pajamas. Still, compared to the fright I had just had at 202, I could forgive even the most outlandish of attire.
結城さんはどこかにお勤めですか？
いえ、自宅でデザインの仕事をしています。忙しいと昼夜問わず仕事をしてるので、ご迷惑をかけるかもしれないんですが。
ああ、大丈夫です。あれ、僕も論文を書くときはそうですし、ここは壁も床も天井も分厚いから。
はあ、これつまらないものですが、ご挨拶の品です。
As I spoke, I held out his gift, a small carton of laundry detergent. I had chosen to play it safe with something boring and practical. The man, whose name was Hisamatsu Daigo, if the label on the package named by the door was any indication, took it from me with a sleepy half smile.
すみません、気を使っていただいて。
For a young guy, he seemed to have a firm grasp of social etiquette. This came as a huge relief. Now that I confirmed at least one of my neighbors to be a reasonable individual, I decided it was time to get going.
僕、久松って言います。何かあったら気軽に声をかけてください。夕方以降はだいたい家にいますから。
ありがとうございます。じゃあ、他にも挨拶をするところがありますので。
はい、じゃあ、
I realized he'd started to say something, so I stopped and turned back.
はい。
いえ、じゃあ僕も論文に戻りますんで、失礼します。
With that, our conversation came to an end, and the heavy iron door clunked shut. I didn't like how it had ended, though, judging from the look on his face. There'd been something else on the tip of his tongue.
もういっか。
No sense fretting over things outside my control. Shifting the remaining gifts in my arms, I headed for the stairs once more. Was he about to ask me out to dinner or something?
まさかね。
Shaking the silly thought from my mind, I headed down the stairs, my footsteps echoing off the walls. Thankfully, the Yakuta family in apartment 101 seemed perfectly ordinary. I was greeted with a light, pleasant scent as the mother of the household poked her head out from the door.
上の201に引っ越してきた結城です。よろしくお願いします。
上にですか？
はい、今日からなんですけど、何か？
いえ、全然気がつかなかったもので。
She smiled stiffly, her face pale. Ignoring the yellow flag in my mind, I held up her gift.
これつまらないものなんですが。
まあ、わざわざすみません。
Repeating what I told the last neighbor, I held out the detergent. Just then, a little pair of hands shot out from behind her and grabbed it.
こんにちは、お姉ちゃん。こんにちは。
That's more like it. 10 points for not calling me ma'am.
上のお部屋に引っ越してきたの？うん。結城かえっていうの。お名前教えてくれる？
So real quick about this, in case you're wondering, she said One-san, which is like a slightly older person than you. Ma'am would be Oba-san, which is connotating an older lady. It's a little bit of a Japanese thing.
生田むつみ
むつみちゃんか。いくつ？
6歳
小学生かな。
4月からなの。
And then remember the Japanese school year starts in spring.
1年生か。お嬢さんしっかりしてますね。
ええ、まあ。
Natsumi's mother looked slightly relieved that the conversation had shifted focus to her daughter. Maybe she'd had her guard up answering the door. She didn't know me, after all. At least, that was what I decided to tell myself.
ねえお姉ちゃん
See, One-chan?
ん？何？
お姉ちゃんはすぐに引っ越しちゃったりしないよね。
え？それってどういう意味？
むつみ！
The woman's shrill voice rang out through the corridor. I looked up sharply to find her white as a sheet, her lip trembling.
生田さん。
すみません。これから夕食の準備がありますので。むつみ、お部屋に行ってなさい。
でもお姉ちゃんとお話ししたいよ。
いいから！
Something must have set off Mama Bear, I thought to myself. Baffled though I was, I could take a hint. It was time for me to go.
私も他に挨拶をするところがありますので、これで失礼します。
I could practically see the relief written all over her face.
じゃあむつみちゃん、またね。
I waved goodbye and stepped back.
お姉ちゃんバイバイ。
Her little voice drowned out by the heavy clunk of the door slamming in my face. Why did Ikuta-san seem to instantly dislike me? I only just got here. Surely I hadn't done anything to warrant that kind of attitude. I thought about it for a bit, then shrugged it off. Call it intuition or a small voice in the back of my head. But something told me I'd understand someday. For a moment, I simply stared down at the 2 remaining cartons of detergent in my arms. Then I decided it was time to pay my landlady a visit. Walking out of the apartment building, I cut across the parking lot and headed to the standalone building that served as the landlady's personal abode. In contrast to the main building, the landlady's house was fairly old and outfitted with a large garden. According to my real estate agent, most of the houses in this area belonged to rice farmers turned millionaires after their property values skyrocketed. They told me it wasn't altogether uncommon to see apartment buildings constructed right next to the landowner's home. Adjusting my grip on the 2 remaining cartons of laundry detergent, I walked up to the old faded front door and rang the doorbell.
はーい。
An elegant feminine voice answered.
本日引っ越してきた結城ですけど。
ああ、はいはい。ゆうきさんね。今開けますから。
The words had scarcely left her lips when the front door slid open, and there she was, my landlady. The last time I'd seen her was during the lease signing a few days prior. Her name was Inamoto-san, and I estimate her to be around the same age as my own mother. Her face lit up as soon as she spotted me.
そういえば今日引っ越しだったのよね。お疲れ様でした。
いえ、これからお世話になります。
あらあら、こちらこそよろしく。
I had a fondness for these sorts of polite exchanges. Japanese humility at its finest.
これ大したものじゃないんですが、ご挨拶がてら持ってきました。よかったら使ってください。
Perhaps detergent was the most apt gift for my new landlady. Still, in my experience, women tended to appreciate practical gifts like these, and older women especially. Sure enough, Inamoto-san smiled warmly and took the carton from my hand.
あら嬉しい。まあまあ気を使ってくださって。
That left me with just 1 carton. I thought back to my experience with apartment 202. Surely the landlady ought to know what sort of person lives there, I thought.
私の隣ってどんな方が住んでるんでしょうか。
隣？
ええ、202号室です。
I saw her face twitch. She was clearly rattled by my question.
隣はどなたもいらっしゃいませんよ。
え？
お隣は空き室なんです。どなたも住んでませんよ。
誰もですか？
ええ。
確かにですか？
ええ。
There was an obvious pause in her answer, but at this point I was too panicked to care. If no one lived there, then how would you explain the intercom static? The rattling doorknob, the door opening. The hand.
誰かが入り込んでるなんてことはないですよね。
鍵は私が保管してますし、何より 今はあの部屋は貸し出してませんから。
でも私見たんです。
そんな、まさか。
Her smile was stiff, her voice shaky. What was she hiding in there?
本当なんです。中から人の手が出て。
だってあそこは空き家なんですよ。
じゃあ不審者が入り込んでるのかも。確認してみてください。
でも
隣がちゃんと空き室だってわからないと安心して住めませんから。
わかりました。マスターキーを取ってきますから少し待っててくださいね。
はい。
I was desperate. I needed to verify with my own two eyes, because I knew what I'd seen. A violently rattling doorknob, a door that opened on its own, and then a single hand. After a moment, Inamoto-san returned, master key in hand. She seemed rather tense. That said, given the nature of my claim, I couldn't blame her.
じゃあ行きましょうか。
はい、すみません。
I knew I hadn't been seeing things, and yet I couldn't help but apologize anyway. Somehow, it just didn't feel real. I followed Inamoto-san back up the staircase from where I had come. At the landing, we promptly arrived at my apartment. There, I briefly stepped inside to drop off the extra carton of detergent. After all, I wouldn't be needing it if no one actually lived next door. With that off my hands, I stepped back out into the hall, and together we walked a handful more steps to apartment 202. To my relief, the door was firmly closed.
じゃあ開けますよ。
She turned the key in the lock, and moments later the door swung open with a loud, deep creak.
さあ中を見て。
はい。
I peered past her into the apartment, and froze. It was empty. The wallpaper was brand new, and the floor was coated in a thin layer of dust. It was blatantly clear that no one had set foot in there in quite some time, much less lived there. I couldn't believe it. It made no sense.
中を見てもいいですか？
中には入らないでくださいね。ここは貸してる部屋じゃないので。
どうして？
それはいろいろと身内の事情がありましてね。さあもう分かったでしょ。閉めますよ。
Before I could begin to process what I'd seen, Inamoto-san closed the door and locked it up tight. Apartment 202 was now completely and undeniably empty.
でも確かに。
I mumbled pathetically to myself as Inamoto-san slipped past me.
引っ越しでお疲れなんでしょう。よくあることですよ、きっと。
I sincerely hope not, I wanted to say. But Inamoto-san had already vanished around the corner and down the stairs. The diner was a 5-minute drive away. I should have been excited to explore my new neighborhood, but instead I was utterly miserable. Pushing my cold, half-eaten hamburger steak around on my plate, I contemplated everything that had happened this evening. So, hamburger steak, this could be like a hamburger patty that they just serve as like a steak. This is a little hard to kind of convey. It's a type of beef, obviously. It's just, I've seen this served so many different ways that I can't tell you based off this alone what type it is. My bet is that it's actually just like a some ground up beef formed into a patty and then covered in some sort of sauce. For the briefest of moments out of the corner of my eyes, I rounded that corner. I had seen it. A hand reaching out from the gap in the open door. The detail that stuck with me most is how deathly pale it had looked. And what were they reaching for exactly? And even supposing the hand had been merely a hallucination on my part, how would that explain the doorknob? Surely I couldn't have hallucinated the doorknob jiggling around like that. And yet, the apartment beyond that door was completely deserted. If someone had come to the door earlier, then there should have been footprints in the dust to prove it, but there weren't. I glanced out the window to find the sunset fading into dusk, and suddenly remembered that my windows at home still didn't have any curtains. Just a few hours prior, I told myself I could wait until tomorrow, but after today's little scare, I was cursing myself for not thinking ahead.
まだホームセンターを置いてるかしら。
I checked the time displayed on my phone. 6:16 p.m. I'd best get a move on if I wanted to find some place that would sell me curtains. Sure, maybe I was just paranoid, but as it turned out, sometimes a single strip of fabric could mean a whole world of difference. It was human nature to conceal the darkness, because the darkness played host to all of our most primitive fears. I picked up my bill from where it lay on the edge of the table and set my fork down on my unfinished plate. Loath as I was to waste food, today would simply have to be an exception. As I went to grab my phone off the table, however, it began to buzz quietly, LED light blinking. The name Yuki Shoko was displayed on screen. I quickly answered.
もしもし。
あ、お姉ちゃんもう引っ越し終わった？
I could hear my little sister's usual easygoing tone.
今日はごめんね。手伝いたかったんだけど仕事が終わんなくて。
別にいいよ。荷物なんて大してないし。わざわざここまで来るのも大変だし。
ごめんね。今度引っ越し祝い持って遊びに行くから。
気を使わなくていいったら。せいぜいゴディバのチョコでいいわよ。
はいはい、今度貢がせてもらいます。
ん
Shoko suddenly lowered her voice, and I could practically hear her smirking on the other end of the phone.
なんか面白そうなところに引っ越したみたいね。
何？どういうこと？
My heart skipped a beat. Ever since we were young, Shoko always had a strong sense of intuition, and somehow I had a bad feeling about this.
別になんとなくそんな気がしただけ。じゃあお姉ちゃん、まだ仕事終わってないからまたね。
あ、ちょっと。
But she hung up before I could stop her. Something about the amusement in her voice didn't sit right with me.
面白そうなところってどういう意味？
I pondered it for a moment, but quickly realized I was getting nowhere fast. Stuffing my phone in my pocket, I promptly took my bill up to the register. As it turned out, the hardware store was actually just a short walk from the diner. Plus, as an added bonus, I discovered that the grocery store next door stayed open pretty late most days. I could always hunt around for a cheaper store later on, but for now, all my shopping needs were met. I picked out a nice set of curtains at the hardware store, plus a few odds and ends, and by the time I made it home, it was pitch dark outside. That said, living out here away from the big city, the moon and stars were actually quite visible. Not to mention the parking lot security lights were pretty bright too. Before I knew it, I was staying back in front of the door to 201, both hands weighed down with shopping bags. Taking care not to glance over at apartment 202, I slipped my key into the deadbolt. But it wouldn't turn.
あれ？
For a moment, I thought I might have used my old key by mistake, but I hadn't brought it with me, and car keys were too distinctive for anyone to mix up. I reinserted the key and tried again. No dice.
まさかぼーっとして3階に来てたりして。
I don't want to make the joke here. No, not touching this one. Surely I wasn't that out of it. Just in case, I looked up to check the number on the door, and then I froze. Dimly, my brain registered the light flutter of my shopping bags as they hit the floor.
なんで？
202. I was staying in front of apartment 202. Panicked, I grabbed my bags, yanked my key out of the lock, and looked back in the direction I had come. Sure enough, my apartment was one door down. I was sure I'd stopped at the first door after I turned the corner. Fear welling up in me, I hurried over to 201, put my key in the lock, hands shaking. But this time, the cylinder turned without a hitch. Too terrified to look down the hall, I darted inside and locked the door behind me, and then I bolted the chain for good measure. My new curtains were a light shade of beige, designed to help brighten up the room. Admittedly, I would have preferred blackout curtains, but at this point I would have settled for anything. These beige curtains had 2 layers. Beneath the thin-colored fabric was a set of lace panels. As I set about hanging them up over the living room window, I thought back on the day's events. I could see the shadowy balcony outside beyond the glass, separated from the one next door via a privacy screen that somehow could easily break through in the event of an emergency. I kept my gaze averted, however. In the back of my mind, I kept worrying some formless entity was going to come creeping out of apartment 202 onto my balcony. I felt a bit better once I finished hanging the living room curtains. But the hardest part was yet to come. The living room and bedroom were divided by a single sliding partition, and my bedroom shared a wall with 202. Somehow, it felt different in there.
気のせい気のせい。
It had to be. After all, nothing had felt off when I went in there this morning. If only I hadn't seen that. The pale hand flashed through my mind again. Hastily, I shook the thought away. Forget it. I knew I'd never be able to stay here if I kept dwelling on it. I shot a quick glance at the balcony. A single pane of glass was all that separated me from that unsettling darkness. Why was I letting myself get so worked up over some curtains? Silently reassuring myself, I set about hanging up the lace. My arms were starting to get tired from continually reaching up, but there was no time to complain. I needed to get this over with, ASAP. Next, I grabbed the beige fabric and looked back up at the curtain rod. The mindless busywork was beginning to help me forget my anxiety. Once I finished hanging up the first half, I took the second half out of the bag. Almost done. Unfolding the curtains, I grabbed one hook and reached up. And then... For a second, I didn't know where the sound was coming from. Until it happened a second time, and my whole apartment shook. I jumped away from the window, leaving the curtain hanging limply by one hook.
何今の。
The window pane was visibly shaking from the external impact. Beyond the delicate lace, the balcony still seemed as empty as ever. Fearfully, I peered out through the curtains. Sure enough, no one was there. At this, I felt both relieved and unnerved. Who hit my window then? I needed to know, but I didn't want to find out. Wrestling with my conflicting emotions, I let my gaze wander over the dark void of the balcony. And there, I found my answer. I wanted to scream, but it felt like there was a cork in my throat, keeping my voice sealed away. There it was, on the railing between my balcony and the next. A bony hand clung to the privacy screen, so pale it practically glowed in the dark. It slid along the edge of the partition until it vanished from sight, little more than a few seconds. And yet those seconds felt like hours, right up to the moment I screamed. I awoke on the living room floor to the sound of the doorbell ringing.
ゆきさんいる？大丈夫？
The vaguely familiar voice made me shudder. Nevertheless, I staggered to my feet like a puppet whose strings had been cut. I had no proof, but I was convinced. The hand belonged to a woman. Hence the man outside wasn't dangerous. It was just a gut feeling. Too tired to deal with the intercom, I stumbled my way to the front door. Collapsing against it, I looked through the people to find my upstairs neighbor, Hisamatsu-san, looking tense. As I opened the door, the cool night breeze drifted in through the 1-inch gap permitted by the chain.
ベランダにいたらすごい悲鳴が聞こえたから。
I had no clue what to tell him. This confusion must have registered on my face because he got a bit flustered.
こんばんは。301の久松ですけど。
大丈夫です。覚えてますから。
Finally, my voice decided to cooperate, and Hisamatsu-san was clearly relieved to hear it. Perhaps he'd mistake my hesitation for mistrust.
それで、大丈夫ですか？
そんなに悲鳴聞こえました。
Personally, I had next to no memory of doing so. All I remembered is being rooted to the spot, my eyes glued to the balcony until the hand vanished from sight. Hisamatsu-san smiled sheepishly and nodded to my question.
まあ、僕が驚いて飛んできちゃうくらいには。
別に俺でも構わないですけど、一向に。
I wasn't sure why he kept correcting himself over such inoffensive slang.
あ、じゃあ俺で。
どうしてわざわざ言い直してるんですか？
いや、昔教授に気をつけろって言われまして、TPO をわきまえろってね。
なるほどね。
The more we talked, the more I could feel myself calming down. And that ghostly hand started to feel more and more like just a bad dream.
で、どうしたんですか？
いえ、ゴキブリをちょっと。
ゴキブリ？
Even I didn't know where the lie came from. I couldn't stop thinking back to the perfectly empty apartment I'd seen only a few hours ago. My fear felt so fake in comparison.
ゴキブリね。
見たことないゴキブリ。
ここではないですね。前にいたオンボロアパートでは見ましたけど。なんだ、ゴキブリか。
From the way he spoke, it sounded like he'd been expecting something else. I couldn't stop myself from asking.
ゴキブリじゃなきゃ何だと思ったんですか？
幽霊かな。
Instantly, a chill shot down my spine. Did he know something? But just as the suspicion crossed my mind, Hisamatsu-san grinned.
なんて。泥棒とか痴漢だったら大変だと思ったんですよ。最近田舎も何かと物騒だから。
まあそうですね。
とにかく何もなかったようでよかったですよ。俺も安心して論文を書けるってもんです。
そうか、邪魔しちゃったのね。ごめんなさい。
いいえ。じゃおやすみなさい。
お騒がせしてごめんなさい。じゃあ。
I managed to close the door, but stopped a few centimeters from the threshold. I looked down to find Hisamatsu-san's hand on the doorknob.
何か
忘れてました。これ。
He extended a slip of paper through the chain's gap.
俺の携帯の番号です。何かあったらかけてください。危ないことでも危なくないことでも飛んできますから。
ありがとうございます。
じゃあ今度こそおやすみなさい。
This time I shut the door without interruption. All at once the energy drained from my limbs and I sank to the floor. From there I crawled on my hands and knees to check the bedroom. The balcony was perfectly quiet and perfectly empty, just as though nothing had ever happened. Half of my curtain still hung limply by a single hook. I hurried over and secured the rest of the hooks to the curtain rod. After that I spent the rest of the night in the living room. I barely slept a wink that night in the end. Rays of morning sunlight streamed in through the living room curtains as I awoke. The sofa was by no means uncomfortable, and yet my body was sore all over.
こんなことなら仕事でもしとくんだったわ。
That said, I was in absolutely no mood to sit down and work. Everywhere I looked, the room was stacked high with cardboard boxes, some half empty, others broken down into neat folded piles. My desktop computer, an essential tool for any freelancer, was waiting for me on my desk. Unfortunately, my internet service wouldn't be ready until tomorrow, at least as far as I knew.
引っ越した翌日に出ていくのってさすがに無理かしらね。
I got to my feet, walked over to the cabinet, and opened the drawer. There I retrieved the rental agreement sitting atop a stack of papers, then walked to the window. Truth be told, I was afraid to open those stupid curtains. But there was no sense standing there in the dark either. Steeling my nerves, I threw open the curtains. My balcony sat empty under the bright morning sun. Beyond it lay an equally empty lot. Nothing suspicious in sight. Relieved, I opened the window. A dewy breeze blew in, and I returned to the couch, paperwork in hand. There I flipped through the contract until I came across the section regarding move-outs. What I found was so bafflingly exorbitant, I couldn't help but stare. Should tenant move out before a period of 1 year has elapsed, tenant agrees to pay a penalty sum equal to 6 months' rent.
半年？
I knew it was common for rental agreements to charge an early move-out fee during the first year. After all, no landlord would want to deal with the rotating door of tenants. I've moved a fair few times in my life, and most of the apartments I lived in had similar clauses in their lease contracts, but only for 2 months' rent max. Less than that in most cases. In all my life, I've never heard of anyone charging 6 months' rent as a move-out fee. They might as well have simply typed up, "You're stuck here" in size 72 font.
どうしてこんな。
I was more than willing to pay another month's rent if it meant I could leave. Hell, I could be convinced to pay too. After all, it was a paltry sum compared to enduring the terror of that awful dream, or hallucination, or whatever it was. But 6 months' rent? That was pushing it, to say the least. I tossed the rental agreement back into the cabinet drawer, then stepped out onto the balcony. Beneath me lay the sprawling landscape of the suburbs, peaceful and picturesque. If this were a normal apartment, I'm sure the view would have left me feeling invigorated. Emboldened by the seemingly ordinary balcony, I glanced over at the one directly adjacent to mine. Granted, the privacy screen prevented me from seeing much. Feeling a bit braver in the safety of daylight, I peeked my head over the partition wall. 202's balcony was completely empty. The sunlight streamed in through the sliding glass window, affording me a small glimpse into the apartment itself. It looked to be perfectly quiet, perfectly ordinary, and yet I sensed an indescribable darkness inside. The apartment felt cold somehow. Perhaps it was just the stark emptiness. Maybe it would have felt differently with some furniture in there. Just as I lured myself back out onto my own balcony, I was caught off guard by a sudden voice calling out to me.
おはよ
おはようってえ
At first, I couldn't tell where it was coming from. I shot a quick glance around, but didn't see anyone.
う上ですよ
I looked up and immediately it all made sense. There was Hisamatsu-san peering down at me from his balcony. I seem to recall he paid me a visit just last night.
おはようございます。
朝から隣を覗きですか
いや、そういうわけじゃ。
It was exactly what it looked like. Busted.
隣なら誰もいませんよ
知ってます。昨日大家さんに聞きましたから。
She even showed me. But I decided to keep that bit to myself. Just then, an idea came to me. Maybe Hisamatsu-san was just the sort of person I needed.
久松さん、
はい
お隣ってどんな人がいたか知ってますか？
さあ俺が越してきた時はもう誰も住んでませんでしたから。
そうですか。
今ここの住人で202号室のことを知ってる人はいないと思いますよ。
じゃあ誰なら。
不動産会社かな。
Of course. Why hadn't I thought of that?
ま、簡単には話してくれないとは思いますけどね。
それってどういう意味ですか？
さ、俺も論文の仕上げやんなきゃ。じゃあそんなわけで。
No sense trying to stop him. I suddenly had somewhere important to be. Hisamatsu-san vanished back inside his apartment, and I heard the sliding door shut. But more importantly, I had just obtained a valuable lead. I left the chilly balcony and headed to the bathroom to get cleaned up.
ダメです。個人情報に関わることは一切明かせないんです。
Chapter 6, what? This was the first thing my agent said to me when I arrived at the real estate agency that helped me sign my current lease. Chloe Wanderfalk Reality? Okay. I'd chosen this agency simply because it was the first one that caught my eye, but the name was so fanciful I often had trouble remembering it. But that was hardly important right now.
そこをなんとか。どうしても知りたいことがあって。
だからダメなんですって。最近はいろいろとうるさいんですよ。住人のことを漏らしたばかりに厄介ごとに巻き込まれることも少なくないんですから。
He looked to be on the younger side, maybe a bit younger than me, and I could tell he was getting sick of me already. But I held my ground.
誰も住んでないはずの隣の部屋から怪しい音が聞こえたら誰だって怖いでしょ。その正体を知りたいからいろいろ聞いてるんじゃない。
じゃあ大家さんにお聞きになったらどうです？目の前に住んでるじゃないですか。
その大家さんが教えてくれないからお宅に聞いてるんでしょ。
大家さんが教えられないならうちだって当然教えられませんよ。
Judging from his tone, he was used to dealing with this sort of thing. I fixed him with a sharp glare, but just then another client walked in, family in tow.
いらっしゃいませ。
Her voice casually breaks the tension hanging in the air.
ま、そういうわけなんで今日のところはお引き取りを。
冗談じゃない。
I didn't come here to mess around. After everything I'd been through in my brand new apartment, no less, I wasn't going anywhere.
お宅が紹介した物件で夜も眠れないほど怖い目に遭ってるんですよ。この落とし前は一体どうつけてくれるの？
いや、その。
Never underestimate the backbone of a woman who works freelance. I knew exactly how to handle this. My voice echoed through the office and my agent paled. I shot a quick glance around, and sure enough, the family that had just walked in was now looking nervously in our direction. And I knew the agent had noticed this too.
その件に関しましては誠心誠意を持って対応させていただきます。こちらでお話を。
Looking utterly defeated, the agent led me into a cubicle in the back corner of the office. Clearly, he knew he was at the end of his rope. The area was furnished with 2 couches facing each other. Perhaps this was where they held business negotiations. The agent gestured for me to sit on one side, then spoke in a low voice.
少し待っててください。
As he disappeared beyond the partition, the receptionist brought me a cup of tea. By the time I take my first sip, the agent reappeared with a file folder in hand.
僕が教えたってことはくれぐれも内密にお願いしますね。
The agent flipped through the folder, looking far more rattled than before. I glanced at the name tag affixed to his chest. Sorry about this, Hirai-kun. I swear I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I don't really have any other choice.
それで202号室には一体どんな人が住んでて。
それは実は僕にもわからないんです。
ちょっとそれじゃ話が。
まあ聞いてください。うちの会社があのアパートの仲介をやるようになったのは4年前からなんです。その時にはすでに202号室の賃貸募集は行われていませんでした。
なるほど。じゃああなたが教えてくれる事情って？
Nervously, Hirai-kun continued to leaf through the folder until he found what he was looking for. There he pulled something free from the paperclip and slid it across the table.
名刺？
うちの会社より前にあのアパートを取り扱っていた会社です。と言っても会社自体はもうないんですけど。
どういうこと？
そこの社長が首を吊ったんです。もともと家族経営の不動産屋でしたから、社員は社長一人でしたし。でも家はそのまま会社があった場所の隣にありますから、うまくいけば奥さんには話が聞けるかもしれませんよ。
その社長が首を吊ったのはいつ
？4年前かな。うちの社長とは仲が良かったみたいで、そこで扱ってた物件のほとんどうちが引き取る形になりました。僕が教えられるのはこれくらいです。
ありがとう。
The fact that the complex's previous real estate agency CEO had committed suicide felt like a huge revelation. Maybe it was worth my time to poke a little further. Meanwhile, Hirai-kun let out a sigh of relief, but unfortunately, he wasn't rid of me quite yet.
もう一ついいかしら？
なんでしょう。
私が今住んでいる部屋、シャトレ・ロマーヌの201号室には以前誰が住んでいたの
201ですか。あそこは結城さんが入るまで近所にある地方銀行の借り上げだったんです。
どんな人？
若い女性でしたね。確か久松さんって言ったかな。
久松？
My upstairs neighbor shared that surname. Something about that gave me pause.
ねえ平井さん。
はい。ってあれ？どうして僕の名前？
ネームプレートつけてるじゃない。もしかして201号室って頻繁に人が入れ替わったりしなかった？
Hirai-kun frowned at my question. Clearly he'd been hoping I wouldn't ask.
そうですね。201と203。特に201は僕が受け持った最初は入居してもすぐに出ていく人が多かったです。久松さんも会社の借り上げだから仕方なく住んでいる感じでしたよ。だから大家さんが違約金の条件を厳しくしたんですよね。
ねえ、そういうことって普通入居時に言わない？
一定期間住んだ方に何もなければ言う義務がないんです。そもそもあの部屋自体は何かあったわけじゃないですから。
He had a point. Regardless, I got the sense I'd learned all I could from this lead. I downed the rest of my cold tea, then stood up from the couch. Instantly, I could see relief flood over Hirai-kun's face.
教えてくれてありがとうね、平井さん。
いえいえ。でもくれぐれも僕が言ったとは。
内緒にしとくわ。ああ、でもまた聞きたいことがあったら来るかも。
I could see "Please spare me" written all over his face, but I ignored it and walked out of the cubicle. The family from earlier was still in the office, and they looked at me with concern as I approached. I put on my best smile and turned to look at Hirai-kun behind me.
ほんと、誠実な対応をありがとうございました。これで安心して住めます。
本当に申し訳ありませんでした。
じゃあまた何かあったらよろしくお願いしますね。
はい。今後ともよろしくお願いします。
The family looked relieved to see that the hard-working agent had successfully resolved the complaint. With that little matter taken care of, I headed for the door.
ありがとうございました。またのご来店をお待ちしてます。
Hirai-kun called after me, his voice stiff and robotic.